How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. Since the day I was born, I have been lucky enough to watch my dad as a car mechanic build some incredible cars, including his Renault 5 Maxi Turbo, and watch him work on both my Polo and my MX-5. But having a car mechanic for a dad is quite sketchy when you start modifying your car of your own accord. He will consistently tell you, like, why are you doing that to your car? What is the point of doing that thing? What a waste of money, yada yada yada. So yes, it can be quite demoralizing, but at the same time it can be quite helpful in terms of working out what actual modifications make a real impact to your car without you having to fork out shed loads of cash. In this video I'll talk you through 5 things that have made a real impact on my cars so far, and I hope would make an impact on yours too. And these are all things you should do before you start messing with power. By the way, this video is assuming you've already gone to your mechanic and sorted out your blinker fluid, your exhaust bearings, your tyre gaskets, and also asked them for a left-handed screwdriver and a long weight. But as always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's start with what I consider to be the essentials: wheels and tyres. A nice set of alloy wheels can go a long way to updating the look of the exterior of your car, that's no secret, but there's a lot more to alloys than meets the eye. Yes, you might buy alloys to make your car look sick, and that would be a valid reason to buy them, but you've also got to remember that alloys are part of your unsprung mass, meaning the mass of any components of the car that aren't resting on the suspension. The lighter the set of wheels and tyres you have, the faster they rebound from bumps on the road, meaning more grip and more constant grip when driving over anything even slightly bumpy. This is why often the most expensive supercars and hypercars get carbon fiber wheels. It doesn't just decrease the overall weight, it increases their traction. Only problem with lighter wheels and tyres is that they generally also soak up less vibration, so your ride quality will suffer. So definitely think about whether you're getting lighter alloys for the right reasons. Wheels come in many types, but key ones you might expect to see at reasonable prices are obviously the standard alloys, diamond cut, split rims, although these are often quite expensive to refurbish, and deep dish. Less important for aesthetics, but horrendously important for handling, is the tyres. Once you've picked your alloys, I would recommend getting a set of tyres that will ensure the diameter of your wheels and tyres remains similar to what it was before. Otherwise, you will put your speedo very slightly off and impact either your top speed or acceleration, depending on which way you go. And don't skimp out on tyres. My first track day on my MX-5 had a set of bog standard road tyres on, and they were inconsistent in their grip, they overheated to the point of melting, and squealed for their lives, while other drivers had proper tyres on and could drive for ages with much better traction, really proving to me how important they are. You can get alloys for as little as around £200 or £300 for a new set, or second-hand ones slightly cheaper. With tyres, it generally depends on what you're going for, but I'm looking to spend around £400 on a solid set of highly recommended semi-slicks for my MX-5, and that's probably overkill in terms of the grip I'll be getting. If you're planning on driving your car quickly and want to have a big impact on your ability to go fast, things that make you slow down might not be the first thing you think of, but honestly, take it from someone who's had brakes fail on them before, a good set of brakes will not only save your life, they'll drop your lap times if you're a track day fiend, or just simply give you more confidence when out driving on the roads. This is because with more capable, more consistent, and more usable brakes, you can basically go deeper into corners, brake later, and ultimately carry a higher overall speed. Let's hold on for 2 seconds. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, @CarsWithJB, go follow me now. You see all the progress on my project, as well as my dad's project, which is a Project WRC rally car, so go have a look at that. And if you're one of the 84% of people watching this video that hasn't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing and then hit the notification bell and you'll stay up to date whenever I post any video, and I think that's a benefit for both of us. Anyway, let's get back to it. Also, they're not just functional. If you're going all out, they can look pretty sick too if they're a tasteful colour behind your alloys. It's simple physics. Brakes work on friction, so the greater the surface area, the more friction you can produce, which is why often you'll see big brake kits advertised online, and if you look at pretty much any purpose-built race car, the brakes will be planetary in scale. But companies know brakes are important, so they make them quite expensive, dissuading people from buying them, but I can promise you, they are worth it. If you have a car like my Polo, which has disc brakes on the front and drums on the rear, a generally difficult but cheap mod to do is to get either a disc conversion kit or a completely different rear axle that has discs on it if there's one available for your car. This won't immediately make braking better, but it will give you scope to grow. Then, if you're strapped for cash, look at getting a good set of brake pads on there. People suggested I get one one of the red, green or yellow stuff pads, and I went for the yellow stuffs even though a few people told me they'd only be good on track. I can confirm they work on the roads too, at least in my case. They allow you to brake harder and more often without overheating, which leads to brake fade, which would cause you to have to drive slower. Another cheap mod you can do is braided brake hoses, which will increase the consistency of braking over the rubber tubes manufacturers usually put in, which are fine for a while but start to lose their integrity. If you've got the money, the next big thing to go for would be a full brake kit with new calipers, preferably a larger brake, maybe drilled discs as well in order to increase cooling and work better in wet conditions. These kits can cost a lot more though, so a great modification if you can afford it. It's something that everyone talks about, coilovers, but there are huge differences between cheap sets of potentially sketchy coilovers and the horrendously expensive Olin shocks you can get hold of for thousands of pounds. Of course, there are multiple reasons as to why you would get coilovers. Maybe it's just to make your car lower and have a better looking stance, maybe it's to literally drop it to the floor so that it's a show car, or maybe it's to decrease the centre of mass, increase the stiffness, and ultimately give you a better handling car. Whatever the reason, my key suggestion to you is that even though you can get some really cheap coilovers out there, try to buy something that is TÜV approved, which insurers will be much happier about, and you can generally trust the quality of a lot more. You should also take a look at what kind of adjustability you want, particularly at the cheaper end. If you just want a better stance or want the car to be lower, you'll probably only need height adjustability. If you want your car to handle well and be good on track, you'll want both height and damping adjustability, as damping controls the compression and rebound, the former being related to the car's unsprung weight and the latter being the sprung weight. The prices of coilovers obviously differs from car to car, but generally the cheaper cars have sketchier coilovers available for under £200 and most expensive at around £4,000. I would expect the best value TÜV approved examples at around the £400 to £600 mark in general. You can go above and beyond with suspension, looking at stuff like mono versus twin tubes, how much travel you want from the shocks, individual compression and rebound adjustability, preload, etc, etc, etc. What I'm saying is coilovers can become a black hole for your time and money if you want them to be, but they don't have to be. So we've done a lot on the outside of the car, but there is one key modification I wanted to note for the interior of the car: seats. As this is where you and your passengers will hopefully be spending the majority of your time in the car, you'll want these to be fit for purpose. I would draw seats out on a sliding scale. On one end you'd have the super plush luxury seats that make you feel like you're either a baller or having a very nice cuddle, or both. And on the other end you've got hard, basic bucket seats that give you maximum feel in the car and very much hold you in place, though they're generally not as comfortable. Now you can get bolstered luxury seats that will hold you in, and you can get heated bucket seats that come with nice cushions, more aesthetically pleasing trim, and more comfort. But ultimately the seats you go for will need to match the concept for your car. For example, a set of plush seats might have been really comfy to sit in with my track focused MX-5, but they would have been rubbish at holding me in on track. Similarly, a set of buckets wouldn't suit my daily driver Polo, but the bolstered GTI seats provide a happy medium where I can drive it spiritedly if I want to, but generally I'm in a good level of comfort. I found seats to be some of the most rewarding mods to do as well. They can really upgrade the interior of your car, particularly because they're the largest feature in the interior of most cars. How you mount them can also be quite important for getting the right driving angle, which is particularly important for taller people in smaller cars, or for track focused builds where you might want to be lower down. And for those of you who are going for track focused, a set of harnesses really helps too, although they're not massively practical for living with. You can get a second-hand set of more luxurious or sporty seats for less than £200 for a lot of cheaper cars. I got my GTI seats for the Polo for around £150 all in, and a second-hand set of buckets on eBay go for similar prices. New, you're probably looking more around the £400 to £600 mark for both types of seat, and most in between as well, so just know what you're looking for and shop around. The final mods I wanted to mention you'll probably never see once you've installed them, and you won't want to hear from them, but you'll love the rewards you get from implementing them if you're into a good handling car. Of course, I'm talking about anti-roll bars and poly bushes. Many cars come with rubber bushes between the moving components beneath them, like the wishbones or control arms. When the cars are new, these work fine as they're stiffer and provide better handling. Over time, the rubber rubber gets weaker and looser, which basically decreases the sharpness and consistency of turning, so it's a bit of a detriment to your handling. Bushes made from polyurethane, which is much harder and more durable than rubber, are a great way to fix this issue for the foreseeable future. They give you back that stiffness and handling, and then a little bit more. The only thing I'll say as a downside for these is how hard it is to remove and replace these if you don't have the right equipment. As mentioned, my dad is a mechanic, so he has his own garage and all the right equipment, and even then I struggled with some of the more tenacious bushes. In addition to this, if you don't lube them up enough, you could find your car suffers from some pretty loud and annoying squeaking, which no one likes to hear. But they transform the way your car feels and aren't too pricey. A full set for all suspension components tends to cost anywhere between £200 to £600 for the majority of cheaper cars too, which isn't bad. They were £280 for my MX-5, which I thought was reasonable. The best thing to complement these bushes is a thicker and adjustable anti-roll bar. These basically go across the underside of the car and increase the stiffness, which in turn decreases the body roll in corners. I can promise you firsthand that if you put these two things together with a nice set of coilovers, driving your car will become a completely different experience. I got a H&R set for around £400, which again, for the impact it gave to my car, I felt was a steal. So I hope you enjoyed this video, I hope you learned something, and I hope it was helpful. If it was, please drop a like as it helps the video and the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. Massive thank you as always to the patrons for their continued support. But remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Listen.